The crystalline spires of the Viridian Collective's Grand Assembly rose like frozen lightning bolts against the purple sky of Nexus Prime. Inside, 3,000 representatives from the most advanced civilizations in known space sat in concentric rings, their varied forms united by a shared concern, humanity. First speaker Alex VA, her translucent form shimming with neural patterns, addressed the assembly. Our observations are conclusive. The humans have achieved quantum consciousness integration in less than 3 centuries after discovering electricity. Their rate of technological advancement exceeds all known models. The assembly hummed with uneasy bioluminescence. Such rapid progress violated the natural order. Species were meant to evolve gradually, taking millennia to reach each technological threshold. Humanity's acceleration threatened the careful balance the collective had maintained for 50,000 years. They create without understanding, second speaker Tornsey added, his crystalline structure vibrating with concern. They've replicated quantum tunneling without grasping its fundamental principles. They're like children who found their parents' weapon cache. The comparison sent ripples of alarm through the assembly. On the central holoscreen, images of Earth flickered, sprawling cities, orbital habitats, the first successful antimatter containment facility on Mars. Each achievement represented decades of predicted development compressed into years. There is more, Alex VA continued. Our deep field sensors have detected temporal anomalies in their research facilities. They're approaching time manipulation without establishing proper causality safeguards. The risk of a cascading reality failure is unacceptable. The assembly erupted in worried discussions, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of light, sound, and electromagnetic pulses. The humans had to be contained before they inadvertently triggered a disaster that could unravel the fabric of spacetime itself. We have prepared 2 options, Tornsey announced. First, guided evolution. We reveal ourselves, establish oversight protocols, and shepherd humanity toward proper development. Second, quarantine. We isolate their solar system within a temporal bubble until they achieve sufficient understanding to safely manage their advancement. In the observation gallery above the assembly, Dr. Elena Santos, Earth's unofficial observer, felt her heart race. The collective didn't understand what they were dealing with. Humanity wouldn't quietly accept either option. She had to warn Earth's leadership, but her presence here was already a violation of multiple collective protocols. The Assembly's vote was swift and nearly unanimous. Earth would be given a choice, but the collective would prepare for quarantine, assuming humans would reject guidance. They always rejected guidance. 12 hours later, the message arrived at every major communication center on Earth. The holographic projection showed Alex VA and Tornsey, their alien forms carefully modulated to appear less threatening to human sensibilities. People of Earth, Alex VA began, we are the Viridian Collective, guardians of cosmic order. Your rapid technological advancement has created unacceptable risks to the stability of spacetime. We offer you a choice, accept our guidance to ensure safe development, or face temporary isolation until you achieve proper understanding. In the United Earth Defense Council chamber in Geneva, Admiral James Chen watched the message with growing anger. They'd known first contact was coming, but not like this. Not as an ultimatum. They think they're being generous, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, head of xenopsychology, observed. From their perspective, they're saving us from ourselves. Chen's response was cut short as their quantum communications array detected an incoming transmission. Dr. Elena Santos, their deep cover operative within the collective, had managed to send a message, they don't understand human nature. They've never faced a species that thrives on defying expectations. Most importantly, they don't know about Project Prometheus. The Admiral allowed himself a grim smile. The collective had made a critical error in their calculations. They assumed humanity's rapid progress was dangerous because it was uncontrolled. They hadn't considered that perhaps humanity had advanced so quickly precisely because they understood the risks better than anyone. Prepare a response to the collective, Chen ordered. And activate Project Prometheus. If they want to test humanity's readiness, we'll show them exactly how prepared we are. As the council chamber erupted into action, Chen couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The collective sought to prevent humanity from causing a disaster through reckless advancement. They didn't realize that humans had already discovered and survived countless potential catastrophes in their rush to the stars. Each breakthrough had been earned through careful experimentation and countless failsafes. The real question wasn't whether humanity was ready for advanced technology. The question was whether the collective was ready for humanity. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the heart of Prometheus Control, 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean. The chamber was a marvel of human ingenuity, a perfect sphere of quantum crystalline matrices that allowed instantaneous communication with every defense installation in the solar system. Around her, holographic displays showed the collective's ships taking position at the edge of the solar system. "They're establishing a quarantine perimeter," Lieutenant Patel reported, his hands dancing across the neural interface. "Thousands of ships, forming a perfect geodesic sphere around our system." Chen nodded, watching the pattern emerge. The collective's ships were beautiful, organic-looking constructs of living metal and crystalline energy conduits. They moved with perfect precision, each vessel knowing its exact place in the grand design. It was impressive, and under different circumstances, she might have admired their coordination. "How long until they complete the formation?" she asked. "At current speeds, 4 hours, 17 minutes, Patel responded. "Once they're in position, their combined fields will create a temporal barrier. We'll be cut off from the rest of the galaxy." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "That's what they think. Initiate protocol revelation." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations began to power up. Deep within Mercury's crust, antimatter reactors that had been quietly running for decades increased their output. On Venus, atmospheric processors that everyone assumed were part of the terraforming project revealed their true purpose, generating quantum field disruptors. The asteroid belt's mining operations transformed, showing that many of the industrial installations were actually weapon platforms and shield generators. "Send the message to the collective," Chen ordered. Dr. Elena Santos's warning had given them time to prepare, to show their strength without appearing aggressive. This would be a demonstration, not an attack. The message was simple, a tight beam quantum transmission that cut through the collective's formation. As it reached their command ship, it carried not just words but a complete sensor package, revealing every hidden human installation that had just activated. "Viridian Collective," Chen's voice was calm but firm. "You believe we advance without understanding. Allow us to demonstrate otherwise. Each development you've observed was carefully planned, tested, and secured. We didn't rush blindly forward, we moved with purpose." On the displays, Chen could see the collective ships reacting, their perfect formation wavering as they processed the new information. The quantum sensors they'd just revealed showed the aliens' confusion, their neural networks lighting up with rapid communications. "For example," Chen continued, "you detected temporal anomalies in our research facilities. What you didn't detect were the temporal dampening fields surrounding each one, containing any potential accidents. We didn't achieve time manipulation through reckless experimentation, we achieved it through careful, systematic research." To emphasize her point, she authorized the activation of the Jupiter Defense Ring. The massive gas giant's many moons lit up with energy signatures that the collective couldn't ignore. Each moon housed technology that humanity had developed not through blind luck, but through generations of dedicated scientific advancement. "Your concern for universal stability is admirable," Chen acknowledged. "But you've made incorrect assumptions about our methods and our understanding. We don't need guidance, we need partners. We don't need oversight, we need collaboration." The response from the collective was immediate. First speaker Alex VA's holographic form appeared in the control center, her neural patterns showing signs of what humans had learned to interpret as shock. "Impossible," Alex VA stated. "These developments, they should have taken thousands of years. The energy signatures we're detecting, the field manipulation technologies, are all carefully controlled and understood, Chen finished for her. Humanity doesn't just create, first speaker. We test, we secure, we validate. Every breakthrough is examined from every angle before implementation. We move quickly not because we're reckless, but because we've learned to be thorough and efficient. The displays showed more collective ships arriving, but not in attack formations. They were research vessels, their sensors drinking in the data from humanity's revealed technologies. Chen had expected this. Curiosity was universal, even among species as ancient as the collective. We understand the risks of advancement, Chen continued. Every child on Earth learns about the near disasters of our past, the AI wars, the first failed antimatter containment experiments, the quantum computing cascade of 2045. We survived and learned from each one. Our speed comes from necessity, not negligence. First speaker Alex VA's form shifted, neural patterns reorganizing as she processed this new understanding. Your species, you hide your true capabilities. Why? Because we learned long ago that true strength isn't in showing power, but in knowing when to reveal it, Chen answered. We prepared not just for technological advancement, but for this moment, first contact with a civilization that might not understand our methods. The quantum matrices surrounding Chen hummed as they processed new data. The collective's quarantine formation was dissolving, their ships redistributing into less threatening patterns. They hadn't expected this level of preparation, this degree of foresight. Perhaps, Alex VA said slowly, we have much to learn from each other. Chen smiled. This was the real test of advancement, not the technology itself, but the wisdom to know how to use it, when to reveal it, and most importantly, how to share it. Dr. Marcus Rivera stood before the Collective Science Council, a diverse gathering of the galaxy's greatest minds housed within a vast chamber of living crystal. The walls pulsed with neural patterns as thousands of alien intellects processed his every word and gesture. Unlike the formal diplomatic exchanges of previous weeks, this was meant to be a scientific demonstration. You've called human emotions primitive, Rivera began, his voice steady despite the scrutiny. You've suggested that our reliance on instinct and feeling makes us unpredictable, dangerous. Today, I'm going to show you why you're wrong. The chamber's atmosphere shifted as hidden sensors activated, creating a real-time model of Rivera's neural activity. The collective scientists watched, fascinated, as his brain lit up with complex patterns they'd previously dismissed as chaos. What you're seeing isn't random activity, Rivera explained. This is human intuition at work. When your species evolved beyond biological constraints, you lost something precious, the ability to process information through multiple parallel systems simultaneously. To demonstrate, Rivera approached a holographic interface the collective used for complex calculations. Your systems process data linearly, seeking perfect solutions. Watch what happens when I approach the same problem. The neural display showed Rivera's brain lighting up in dozens of regions simultaneously. Emotion, logic, memory, and instinct worked in concert, finding connections that pure logic might miss. The solution he reached wasn't just correct, it was elegant, innovative, and arrived at through paths the collective's algorithms hadn't considered. Human emotion isn't a weakness, Rivera continued. It's a sophisticated processing system evolved over millions of years. When we feel fear, we're not just experiencing a primitive response, we're running complex predictive models through our subconscious. When we trust our gut, we're not being irrational, we're processing thousands of subtle variables our conscious minds haven't had time to analyze. One of the collective's leading researchers, a being of pure energy named Zex Nor, moved forward. But your emotions lead to conflict, to war, to chaos. Rivera smiled. They also lead to art, to music, to poetry. To solutions no one else would think of because they're too focused on pure logic. Watch this. He initiated a crisis simulation, a complex scenario involving multiple failing systems in a space station. The collective's AI produced a logical solution that would save 80% of the station's inhabitants. Rivera's solution, driven by both emotion and logic, found a way to save everyone. We didn't just keep our emotions as we advanced, Rivera explained. We learned to integrate them with our technology. Our quantum computers don't just process data, they interface with human intuition. Our AI systems don't just think logically, they understand emotional context. The neural display showed Rivera's brain activity increasing as he warmed to his subject. The collective scientists noted how his passion enhanced rather than hindered his clarity of thought. Your species aims for perfection through pure logic, he continued. We aim for something different, continuous adaptation through the integration of all our capabilities. Our emotions drive us to explore, to connect, to find solutions that pure logic might miss. Zexnor's energy form flickered with interest. You're suggesting that what we perceived as primitive reactions are actually sophisticated processing systems? Exactly, Rivera confirmed. When a human pilot trusts their instincts in a crisis, they're not rejecting logic, they're processing information faster than conscious thought. When a human scientist follows a hunch, they're not being irrational, they're recognizing patterns too subtle for current sensors to detect. The chamber hummed with discussion as the collective scientists processed this new perspective. They'd assumed that advancement meant moving beyond emotion, beyond instinct. The idea that these traits could be refined and integrated rather than discarded was revolutionary. Consider this, Rivera said, initiating one final demonstration. Every major breakthrough in human history came not just from logical progression, but from emotional drive. Curiosity, compassion, even fear, these emotions pushed us to find solutions no one else had considered. We don't succeed despite our emotions, we succeed because of them. The neural display showed the beautiful complexity of human thought, logic and emotion dancing together in patterns that defied simple categorization. The collective scientists watched in growing understanding as they realized that what they dismissed as primitive chaos was actually a sophisticated system of integrated processing. We don't want to lose this, Rivera concluded. We don't want to evolve beyond emotion. Instead, we want to keep refining it, integrating it with our technology, our understanding, our future. That's the human factor, not the rejection of our nature, but its continuous evolution. The warning came without precedent, a quantum burst transmission that penetrated both human and collective defenses. The images it carried showed destruction on an unimaginable scale, entire star systems vanishing into what appeared to be artificially generated singularities. The devourers had returned. In the combined command center hastily established on Luna, Admiral Chen and first speaker Alex VA watched the data stream in. The devourers were an ancient threat, a machine civilization that consumed entire galaxies to fuel their expansion. The collective had faced them once, millennia ago, and barely survived. Our models suggest they'll reach this sector in 72 hours, Alex VA announced, her crystalline form pulsing with urgent patterns. Our defensive protocols from the last encounter are already obsolete. They've evolved. Chen studied the tactical displays, her mind racing through possibilities. Then we need to evolve faster. Dr. Rivera, what do you see in their attack pattern? Rivera, now serving as the human collective liaison, stepped forward. The neural interface he wore allowed the collective to monitor his thought processes as he analyzed the data. There's something, not quite right. The attacks seem almost rhythmic. Rhythmic? Alex VA questioned. Our analysis shows no discernible pattern. Not a logical pattern, Rivera clarified, his brain activity spiking in ways that fascinated the collective observers. But there's an emotional component. These aren't just tactical strikes, they're deliberate, almost artistic in their destruction. They're not just consuming resources, they're expressing something. Chen's eyes narrowed. They're not just machines. They're artists of annihilation. The revelation hit both species simultaneously. The devourers hadn't just evolved technologically, they'd developed a form of aesthetic appreciation. Their attacks weren't merely efficient, they were choreographed for maximum impact. "This changes everything," Chen declared. "We're not just facing a logical opponent. We're facing one that has developed its own form of creativity." "Dr. Rivera, what happens when we introduce chaos into art?" Rivera smiled, understanding immediately. "It becomes abstract. Unpredictable. The pattern breaks." The next hours were a blur of activity as humans and collective members worked together, combining their strengths. The collective's quantum processors merged with human intuition through neural interfaces. Artists and musicians worked alongside tactical officers, creating disruption patterns that would be both mathematically sound and aesthetically jarring. "We're not just going to fight them," Chen explained to the combined forces. "We're going to offend their newly developed sensibilities. Every strike will be deliberately inelegant, every defense pattern will be aesthetically chaotic. We'll turn their appreciation of destruction against them." The plan came together with unprecedented speed. Collective ships, guided by human intuition, took positions that defied conventional tactical logic. Earth's quantum defense platforms were reprogrammed to generate interference patterns that would be particularly offensive to the Devourer's artistic sensibilities. When the Devourers arrived, they faced something entirely unexpected. Their perfectly choreographed attack patterns were met with deliberate discord. Human improvisation merged with collective technology, creating defense strategies that changed randomly, guided by both mathematical principles and artistic instinct. The first wave of Devourer ships hesitated, their programming struggling to adapt to the intentionally chaotic response. That moment of hesitation was all that was needed. Combined human collective weapons fired, their effects amplified by quantum field manipulators that turned the very fabric of spacetime into a canvas of destruction. "They're retreating," Alex VA announced, her form brightening with something close to excitement. "Their attack pattern is dissolving." Chen nodded, watching as the mighty Devourer fleet broke formation, their perfectly planned assault shattered by the introduction of controlled chaos. When faced with true unpredictability, even the most advanced systems need time to adapt. "We just proved that emotion and instinct aren't primitive, they're essential tools of survival." The victory marked more than just a successful defense. It represented the first time human intuition and collective technology had worked in perfect harmony, creating something greater than either could achieve alone. 1 year after the Devourer incident, the Grand Assembly of the Viridian Collective looked very different. Human representatives now sat among the alien delegates, their presence a symbol of how much had changed. The crystalline chamber had been modified to accommodate human biochemistry, just as humans had adapted their technology to interface with collective systems. Dr. Rivera and first speaker Alex VA stood together before the assembly, their neural patterns synchronized through a new hybrid interface that allowed for direct emotional and logical communication. The technology was a perfect metaphor for what their species had achieved together. "A year ago," Alex VA began, her form shimmering with complex patterns, "we believed humanity needed guidance to avoid destroying themselves. Today, we understand that our own evolution had led us to a dangerous form of stagnation. In seeking perfect logic, we had forgotten the value of contradiction and chaos." Rivera nodded, the neural display showing how his emotions enhanced rather than clouded his thinking. "And we humans learned that our greatest strength wasn't in hiding our capabilities, but in sharing them. Our fear of being misunderstood had led us to isolate ourselves, preparing for conflict instead of cooperation." The assembly watched as holographic displays showed the fruits of their collaboration. New ships that combined collective efficiency with human intuition. Research stations where human creativity worked alongside alien logic to solve problems neither species could tackle alone. Schools where young humans learned to refine their emotional intelligence while collective youth rediscovered the value of instinct. "The Devourers taught us all a valuable lesson," Rivera continued. "They showed us that evolution isn't just about advancing technology or processing power. True evolution requires maintaining connection with our core nature while reaching for the stars. Alex VA's form shifted to display patterns that humans had learned to recognize as joy. Our attempt to quarantine humanity would have been a tragic mistake. Instead of containing a potential threat, we would have isolated ourselves from the very qualities we needed to continue growing. The assembly hummed with agreement as data streams showed the remarkable advances of the past year. The hybrid technologies they developed had already spread throughout known space, creating new possibilities for all species. But more importantly, the philosophical exchange between humans and the collective had sparked a renaissance of thinking about consciousness, evolution, and the nature of intelligence itself. We no longer speak of guided evolution or quarantine, Alex VA announced. Today, we propose a new protocol, collaborative advancement. Every species brings unique qualities to our shared future. The goal is not to eliminate differences, but to understand how they complement each other. Rivera smiled, activating a final display that showed the construction of the first human collective academy. Our emotions, our instincts, our capacity for illogical leaps of intuition, these aren't primitive traits to be overcome. They're essential tools for navigating an universe that defies pure logical understanding. The assembly erupted in a showcase of approval, lights, sounds, and neural patterns combining in a way that would have seemed chaotic a year ago but now represented a new kind of harmony. The human delegates added their own expressions of joy, creating a symphony of unified diversity. The universe is not a problem to be solved, Rivera concluded, but a mystery to be experienced. Logic helps us understand it, but emotion helps us connect with it. Technology amplifies our abilities, but wisdom guides their use. As the assembly session ended, Alex VA and Rivera walked together through the crystalline corridors. Their neural link shared unspoken understanding. Humanity and the collective had both feared what they didn't understand about each other. In moving past that fear, they had discovered something profound. True advancement comes not from surpassing one's nature, but from embracing it while reaching for the stars. The future they were building wouldn't belong to pure logic or pure emotion, to advanced technology or intuitive understanding. It would belong to those who could bridge these apparent contradictions, finding strength in diversity and wisdom in the integration of all their capabilities. Above them, Earth and the collective's worlds continued their dance through space, no longer separated by fear or misunderstanding, but united in their shared journey into an uncertain but promising future.